Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 17th episode of Pauk Talk. We are your hosts, Angelo and Jono. Jono, how are you today?
Angela, I'm doing better one day after the disappointing Derby defeat. Still reeling a little bit from the performance and the result, but I mean we're going to break it down for everyone, so I'm looking forward to that with you.
Yeah, it was I wanted to do it last night, but I think it was better that we didn't because I feel like my emotions, you're definitely more calm, cool, collected, but my emotions would have gotten the better of me and I would have said some things maybe I didn't want to say. So it's good that I've tabled my thoughts, got to thinking about things more clearly, and now we're going to talk about this day after the game, or 2 days after. How did you see the game in terms of just the play, the run of play on the pitch? How did you see it?
Look, it was kind of what we predicted. Like possession was even. We edged it a little bit in possession. Look, our general play wasn't bad. We got into good spots. We would create an opening, but there was no massive chance. There was no what a great save by the Aris keeper.
Right.
Did it like the best chance that I can think of is Fideski, where his shot went wide in the second half, that right footed. We got into good spots, but that final pass wasn't there, or a player didn't arrive at the spot where he should have been. So, and again, that just screams out to lacking a striker, a consistent striker that can, score goals. Maybe an attacking midfielder as well to an extent. We obviously rely heavily on Zivkovic and Solis, and reading around Sudgren, the Aris right back, had his best game for Aris. That's what everyone is saying, all Aris people. So he had a great game on Solis. I mean, it's clear they were prepared for our wingers. Like that's our threat. So I mean, I think our general play wasn't awful. It's just it wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't awful. It wasn't bad. It was almost good, but again, we just lack that finish. We lack that striker. We don't have a goal. We don't have a cheap goal in us, which is key to get the scoreboard ticking in your favour, and then the game can start to unravel. So in terms of how we played, I don't have too much of a problem. Like I think with everything at our disposal, it was, it wasn't an awful performance. I mean, do you agree with that, or do you think that we looked a little flat at times?
I think that I think our run of play was fine, but I think like you touched it, the final third is where we were missing our opportunities, or we didn't get opportunities, and they had a game plan to shut down our wingers and force other people to score, and we didn't. That Sundgren, the poor man's Ingesson, he annoyed me. He was just he did a good job, right? But I just didn't like him that game. But I think that they had a game plan to cover the wingers, force our midfielders, center mids to do stuff, and we couldn't. We controlled the possession, like you said. We had 65%. They had 35%. Total shots were in our favor, 9-8. Shots off target, 5-3. We had 5 corners. They had none. Free kicks were equal at 16. They had more fouls. They had more offsides. So I think that we controlled the game. They got a penalty, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. We didn't get opportunities, so that's what essentially lost us the game. I know a lot of people might say that the referees or this or that, but I mean, if you don't score, you don't deserve to win, right? If you keep looking for penalties or free kick goals or set piece goals, and set piece goals are fine, but if you keep looking for fouls or penalties to win, then you don't deserve to win. You have to be the team that creates something. Someone said it best on the forums that we lack that creative player that that strikes the fear in the center of the pitch. We have 2 wingers that do it, but we don't have the creative center midfielder that can create chances. And also, I think our best players had an off day. I mean, Yanuli didn't do much. Solis didn't do anything the entire game. He was kind of, I think, frustrated by the way Sundgren was playing. I think that they got in his head and it worked. He was falling left and right trying to win fouls, and I didn't like that. It kind of was like he wasn't playing our game. He was more playing their game. But that's something that he'll learn. He's still young. He's going to have games like this, and I think that's why we know that he's not ready for the big time yet. It's because he does have games like this. If he's the wonder kid that everyone is saying, he'd be able to pretty much dominate the Super League to the point where it was like the old Vieirinha, right? Before he went to Wolfsburg, and how he would just dominate. You would see every time you saw him, you would know he's the best player, and that's Solis isn't there yet. He's not there yet. But I agree with you. I think we played I wouldn't say well, but I think we played decent. Decent enough to win, but in terms of our execution, we didn't deserve it. I don't think we deserved to win. I think both teams deserved a draw. I think a draw would have been a fair result. Looking back on the 11 before we get to the fouls and the penalties, who do you think was the best player for PAOK? And who do you think was maybe the worst, or a couple players?
I honestly think that Aris, despite Aris obviously scoring, and they had a couple of good chances, they only had a few chances, but the chances were good, obviously. I think our centre-backs were pretty solid. I know something we discussed pre-game. I think Ingus and Michailidis, or I think, it's kind of signalling the changing of a guard. So Inguson's obviously 27, his experience is in the prime of his career. I think those two might be our starters. I mean, I think they were pretty good. Everyone else was, pretty average to poor. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if you have a different view, but apart from the two centre-backs, I mean, Solis, you touched on, didn't have a great game. He still had some moments, and with a bit of luck, those moments could have turned to goals. He also had a cross that Svidevski just couldn't get to before the keeper.
Right. Yep.
Kind of, I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-hmm, I do.
He obviously had the play with a couple of challenges on him where the penalty was initially awarded. So he had moments where, despite having a poor game, he nearly made something happen. But no, I would have to say the centre backs, man, because Giannoulis was poor. I'd have to say both of those guys. What do you think?
I actually think Michailidis didn't play that well. He gave the ball away pretty easily, in my opinion. And at points in the game, I think Ingerson played really well. I like him. I've always liked him. That goes back to the point of where we were saying last episode, would we have gone veterans? Would we have played a Varela and Ingerson? I don't think Michailidis led to any chances, but I just think there was a 5 to maybe a 10-minute period where we were just giving the ball away over and over. It was that left side from defense. Michailidis gave it away a couple times. Giannoulis gave it away a couple times. It seemed like they were off in terms of usually they can connect and Michailidis can play that long ball. I think a couple times he got too ambitious with it. But, I mean, that's the beauty. I saw it one way. You saw it another way. And it's just tough. We don't deserve to win when we're looking at it and we can't really come up with someone that played really, really good, besides Ingerson, who played well. I don't think Paschalakis made any mistakes. I think he did a decent job in goal, and the penalty wasn't his fault, which we're probably going to get to now. But, yeah, I mean, I would have said that it was his fault if I believed it based off of my previous conversations with you about him. But I think he did a good job at that. So looking at that penalty that was awarded to Aris, what did you think?
Yeah, look, so obviously watching it live, I was surprised that because in real time it clearly I was very surprised that the referee gave it to the naked eye, because it looked like Paschalakis clearly got to the ball first, and then I think most people, I think even one-eyed Aris fans, the fact it's a very, very tight call. The fact that he wasn't even sent to VAR is surprising. I didn't tell you this off air actually, and maybe I should have, but I slowed it right down, right down, and I'm assuming they did this in VAR. And slowed right down, it looks like that Bertoglio maybe gets a little touch just before Paschalakis, but Paschalakis still takes the ball before he takes the player. So, I mean, for me, it's still, when it happened, I was 100% that's not a penalty. I've kind of come around to see that I kind of 10%, 20% understand how it's been awarded, but to not even review it is surprising. I still don't think it's a penalty because he gets the ball before he gets the player. But, slowing it right down, which I'm assuming they did in VAR. They didn't show us on the broadcast, which they normally do. They show us the exact angles so the viewers can understand why a decision's been made. I'm assuming that's what they did. So, I mean, my knock is more with VAR than it is with with anything else. Like for not calling him over to like review that, because that's, I mean, as a close penalty call as you're going to get. And yeah, so I mean, I know you have stronger thoughts on it.
I mean, that's Greece, right? No explanation for anything that happens. But 100%, I don't feel like that was a penalty. As I've mentioned before, being a goalkeeper, you're taught in a situation like that to kind of not punch the ball away, but like palm it away. Make sure you get the ball, curve your angle where you're gonna get the ball first, and I think he did exactly what you were taught to do as a goalkeeper, trying to clear the ball. And to my eye, he gets the ball. Every angle I see, he gets the ball first. So that right there, I mean, once you punch the ball away first, once you get that ball away first, after that, for a goalkeeper, it's mute, right? You could go through a player as a goalkeeper as long as you get the ball first, right? And that's I think real obvious to the real soccer fans, the ones that know the rules. And it's criminal. Well, not criminal, but it's insane to me how they didn't even check. The referee didn't even go to VAR, right? But later in the game he would go to VAR for that. So I don't understand. Even if everyone's saying it's a penalty, he knows it's a rivalry game. He knows it's a big call. Just go to it. Appease people, because I think he would have gotten a lot less slack if he went to VAR, took some time, and still said penalty, said there's nothing there that I can overchange my initial call, right? But the fact that he even looked at that's upsetting to me, and that's what I think a lot of people have a right to complain about. Not only did he get the call wrong, he didn't even look at it to double check. Right.
Yeah, and that's on the VAR official, right?
Right.
The VAR official is the one that's meant to tell him you need to come look at it. Now, I think what you said is correct. I think even if he reviewed it, I don't think he would have I'm not sure if this referee would have overturned his initial decision. I know he overturned the Tolisso one, which that passage of play, that tackle that he gave the penalty on wasn't a penalty.
Correct.
I think there was a foul earlier. There was two
fouls earlier. Yeah. Yep.
Right? So the fact that those don't get reviewed, VAR's a little bit unusual in terms of the wording. So I think because he gave a corner, I think if Solis had been booked for a dive, say, they might have actually reviewed those two earlier tackles. Like just the way, I'm sure, we're all football fans. We all know the controversy that VAR has caused and that, but I don't think it was used correctly throughout this match. But yeah, so yeah, no, I'm with you. Back to the Paschalakis penalty. I'm surprised it didn't get reviewed. I'm not convinced he would have overturned his own decision, but it would have been a little bit. Yeah, I would have felt a bit better about it being given had he reviewed it. But it is what it is. If you're good enough, then you can come back from that. But yeah, obviously it was a massive moment in a big game.
So I'm going to say something that I know you're not going to agree with, but it's okay because now talking about this has got me fired up again. The refereeing cost us the game, but we didn't deserve to win. I think that we deserved a tie, and I think the poor refereeing. Should Aris have been given that goal? No. They didn't. They didn't earn it on the field of play, right? I think they had couple other chances, legitimate chances, but I don't think in a Champions League game with Champions League officials that doesn't not go to VAR and that they give that a penalty. So I still think that they were gifted the penalty. Now, does that mean that we should have won? No. We played attacking wise, we played awful. So I'm not excusing that anyway. And I agree with you. I don't think that Solis, the one that was given, should have been a penalty, right? He didn't get touched at all on that play. But he got tripped up before, right outside the box, the first time. And then the second time, as he was getting up, he got his leg pulled back with the other guy's foot, not with his hand, but
in an ankle lock, basically.
An ankle lock, yeah. That's a penalty. That's inside the box. The first one kind of was on the edge, right?
Yeah, that would have needed a review to see whether he was on the line or outside. But regardless, yeah.
The second one was in the box. That was the ankle lock. The third one wasn't a penalty at all, right? So I'm surprised that he didn't see the first two and say, okay, well, it's a foul, but it's outside the box. I'm not giving advantage. It's the foul outside the box. Or he even give the one inside the box. And it's just crazy. I don't know if he's come out and said anything or if any of the officials, I'm sure we're going to be hearing about that soon. But yeah, that's my only qualms. We didn't deserve to win, so I'm not saying that, we got gypped out of 3 points. But I think a draw we should have got.
I think, first of all, you are correct. You know me well. I don't agree that the refereeing, cost us the game because being, fair and honest, Augusto should have been sent off in the first half and he wasn't. And you can make a case maybe Tagada should have been sent. I mean, Augusto just was on a yellow so early and gave away so many fouls. Like, he played really poor. He played a dumb game. So to continue fouling in a game of that magnitude when you're on a yellow card is just dumb football. Like, I don't know what you're thinking. So he should have been sent off, right? The penalty on us was very harsh. Wasn't a penalty. We probably should have had one, as you mentioned. I agree with you. I think Solis gets fouled initially on the edge or just inside, gets his ankle locked, and then he gives one that's not a penalty. I mean, it just points to a poor referee, all these decisions. The Paschalakis one, not reviewing, not sending off Augusto, and giving the Solis one that wasn't and missing the other two. He's just a bad referee. There's nothing. Yeah, go.
No, I was going to say, real quick before I lose my train of thought, I don't think it was fixed. I don't think it was rigged. No, I agree with that. I think it was poor refereeing. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Like, you watch the match as a whole and it was poorly refereed. So, right. I mean, a bad referee or an average referee had a bad day and, his decisions in the end decided the result. But, I mean, I'm adamant on that, man. I'm a big as Paok fan as the next guy, and I am as upset at what's happened off-field as anyone else following the match.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Augusto should have been off. We should have been playing with 10. So, I mean, what would you rather give up? 1-0, like a goal? I mean, you can argue that a goal is bigger than playing with 10, but to play 10 for over a half, I mean, you're basically a dead man walking in that situation.
See that I don't know if I agree with. I'd rather play with 10 for 30 minutes than give up a goal and then have them sit back and dive. Like they're swimming.
It would have been more than 30. He should have been off.
Well, the only one that I think he could have gotten sent off was that elbow in the head,
which was early in the second, was it?
It was, maybe at like the 50th, right? So 40 minutes.
But I just think he's like a culminate. Like, he gave away like another 4 fouls after his yellow. Like, there is such thing as a booking for
too many
continuous fouling,
right?
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Which he probably should have got.
Yeah. So again, I think if you ask most people, they say, I'd rather get a second yellow than give up a penalty in the manner that they did. That's my opinion.
Well, you know what, Angelo? We just got our Twitter poll for the day, so you can pop that up after the episode.
All right. All right. It sounds good. Yeah, for sure. We'll see what people think. So you touched on the stuff after the game, and I know we don't want to get too much into that. But before we move on from the referee, right.
Did you have any thoughts on the final passage of play of the game where there appeared to be a handball from an Aris player, like right at the end? Do you remember that? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Do you think pen potentially should have been reviewed at least?
Should have been reviewed. Again, should have been reviewed. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, there's no way the referee can see that, so
right.
I'm not going to knock the referee, but the fact that they didn't send him to review, and there is precedent. I mean, I've seen in the Premier League, Manchester United earlier this season was awarded a penalty after the game. So the last passage of play, there was a handball. Game ended. The VAR checked and said, this looks like a handball, come look.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think all 3 of these incidents should have been reviewed, and only 1 out of 3 was, and the one that was the penalty to Paok. So that's kind of, I think, what's frustrating fans, that, the VAR seemed to go against us in this game. But, yeah, it should have been reviewed, whether he gives it or not, because Ingerson's hand's kind of holding the defender. I mean, I don't know what would have happened, but it's 100% that is a review, because a lot of handballs are given, especially in this VAR era of the last year or two. So that should have been reviewed for me.
Yeah, it definitely should have been reviewed. Yeah, so going back to the Twitter thing I just thought of, and I know I'm going to get fans of other teams commenting on it, so I don't know. So if you're listening to this and you have an opinion on the matter, please let us know. Tweet to us. Send us a message on Instagram, wherever, on post it on YouTube. Let us know what you think. So real quick, the off the field issues. After the game with people saying it was rigged, from PAOK administration, fixed, or it was a kind of a anti-PAOK game. And again, I don't think the referee. I don't believe in a lot of that stuff. Does that happen? Yes, but I don't believe in a lot of it. I just think it was poor refereeing from an average to below average referee. What do you think?
Well, I mean, let's get things in so basically after the game, Olympiacos, not Aris, come out and say that PAOK, or someone connected to PAOK, attempted to bribe and basically intimidate Siapanis, the Aris keeper and former PAOK at Olympiacos keeper, into, I guess, having a poor game, which Olympiacos is claiming that is the reason why he got benched. So what I find strange about that is that Olympiacos are the ones, and their vice president is the one that revealed that, rather than Aris themselves. So, I mean, I don't know what happens. You can't know, and we probably never will know, as is the case with so many of these issues in Greece. But man, I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of all this off-field nonsense. Mm-hmm. We can never play football and just play a game and talk about the on-field. Like, PAOK never wins because PAOK was just too good. PAOK was always held. PAOK was always pushed. That's the same for every team. Like, this is just a cultural problem within Greece. No, there's a big victims mentality, right? Especially in sport. My team is never not good enough. My team had to have been robbed. How did my team lose? There's people are always searching for a reason. You can never just stand up and say, you know what? Yeah, we weren't good enough. Kind of how we're saying against Aris. I mean, it's kind of ironic because we're discussing the refereeing so heavily, but we weren't good enough to win. We didn't deserve to win.
Right, but we're not saying it was fixed.
No,
we're just saying he made mistakes from both sides, which we agree with.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. But yeah, in terms of what actually happened off field, I don't know, and we never will know. I just know that Greek football's level has dropped, has plummeted in the last 10 plus years, as is reflected in the UEFA rankings. We're down to 18th now. 8-9 years ago, we were pushing up near the top 10. We have slid badly. And I have no doubt that this is all as a result of all this off-field bullshit that goes on. It seems like teams don't want competition. One team wants to have a monopoly over the league, it seems.
It's like a conspiracy theory. It's like all the conspiracy theorists out there, right?
yeah, exactly. Now, a lot of stuff. Greek football has been sick for a long, long time, right? Before my time, I hear stories. I'm sure you're the same. I've seen videos, hear stories from older people, family members, blah, blah, blah. But until all this stops, this is just going to be the reality of Greek football, and I can't ever see it stopping. Until people that are employed by clubs stop carrying on like ultras of the clubs, Greek football is always going to be this. And tell me another serious league in the world, give me England, give me Spain, give me Germany, where you get people employed by the clubs that are essentially having a dick measuring contest with their statements that, so-and-so, PAOK is, bought Xanthi and blah, blah, blah. Again, I don't know what's happened and what's not, but it just shocks me, that these people are employed by clubs and they basically just sit there and cry and point at the other team. People don't, it's just mind-boggling that these like me and you, it's understandable, we're fans, but these guys are paid by the club to
represent their team. We're podcast hosts. Come on, we're not just a regular fan now.
Yeah, we're above and beyond. But yeah, I mean, until it all stops, and it never will stop. That's just Greece and that's just Greek football. But personally, it really turns me off. I don't buy into 85 to 90% of the conspiracy theories, but when people start attacking my team with conspiracy theories, I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to throw back the other 10,000 conspiracy theories that have been floating around about their team.
Exactly.
Because even though I really don't, I just think it's a victim mentality, it's a loser's mentality. Again, I'll go back to, it's rare. Bulk has got really good at this in the last couple of years. We've kept our mouth shut, we've played our games, we've lost our games, we've won our games. It's Olympiacos that's really become the king of the statements and the king of really driving that the league is corrupt, despite them winning it last year. And the league was corrupt up until January last year, and then all of a sudden when they took top spot, it was all good. So, I mean, you know, make of it what you will. It's basically the boy who cries wolf. After every Bulk game, they're crying dirty, dirty. Like, no one believes you, man. Like, shut the fuck up. Over to you.
I love it, baby. You know what? I was gonna come in and say some stuff, but you hit it, boom, right? You hit it right in the head. The last minute or so, the last couple things you said, and how, you know, we've given a lot of credit due on this show and everywhere about Olympiacos, and we've always said, I've said this, I think they're the best team in the league on paper. You know, best management in terms of running a soccer club, right? They're highly respected in Europe. They always go further. They think that they could win every leg that they're in, whether it's Arsenal, PSV. They played Man U a couple years ago. They always seem to do well. But worry about your own damn team, right? I mean, keep Pauk out of your mouths. You know, we're not a threat right now, right? There's no reason to bring stuff up. Because it's not like the past couple years there haven't been any issues with the Olympiacos, right? You know, like you said, there's conspiracy theories, you know, and we would love to have this debate. So I agree with you on everything you just said. I don't even want to add anything else because I don't want to ruin that moment that you had. But I loved it. Showed some fire. You cursed a couple times. Usually I'm the one that's cursing, but it was awesome. It was awesome, and you know, and it's good that you said that because I think a lot of people are frustrated, and it is. It's both sides, right? Pauk used to do it. You know, Ike does it. Panathinaikos does it. You know, Olympiacos does it. But to act like one side, like you're better than us in terms of, you know, you guys are the only ones doing it, right? Whoever Olympiacos fans saying, Pauk fans are the only ones that does it. Pauk's cheating. This, that. No, like relax. The four teams have all conspired or have all pretended like there's been conspiracy theories. Have all made arguments left and right. But you know, I just want to give kudos to you. That was awesome. I'm speechless.
Thanks, man. And I'll just echo your sentiments. What I'm saying is directed at the off-field Olympiacos, their front office, right? Because the on-field, I'm with you. Like, they're a good team. We've sung their praises multiple times. I mean, you can't deny that they are the best team in Greece this year, and they are most likely going to win the league. So, yeah, it's just more, my issue is more with the mentality of Greek football and the mentality of these people that run these clubs.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's my issue. Before we wrap up, I know we're running a bit short on time. I just want to say to Musa Wage, get well soon. Like, that's a horrific injury. It seems like he has, and what a moment for him to potentially end his Bulk career on. Because I mean, extremely brave, right? Kept us in the game. Unfortunate that it was on the losing team. So, but yeah, I mean, I think he'll be remembered forever, no matter what happens with his Bulk career and his career beyond, because that was a superb effort, really brave, and just unfortunate that it ended up being on a losing team. But get well soon, Musa, and we wish him a speedy recovery. Yeah,
come on the show. You give us your prognosis and all your healing and how you're doing and everything. But yeah, it was a great save. At first, I thought that he got the net. You know how sometimes when that happens, it's more of like a shock value. But then after I saw the replay and I saw his knee get like caught up against the post, I knew it was legit. Then you saw the kid's face. And that's something that we have to realize is that, you know, a lot of these players are kids. I mean, if you think about it, right? I mean, yes, they're professional athletes, but like I'm getting old. I'm still used to the time when I'm younger than these players. But most of these players now are younger than me, So they're kids, right? We have to understand this. So, I hope he has a speedy recovery, like you said, and I hope he's able to play again. It looked like he was getting it looks like he was getting into great form, and he was starting to fit in. And who knows down the road if God, I hope this doesn't happen, but if Barcelona releases him or whatever, I'm sure he'll have a spot with Pauk, and hopefully the management will figure something out, especially if he's not able to continue his career based on how bad the injury is.
Yeah, absolutely, and he still hadn't. He was finding his feet. I think he was looking a little bit better and better. So I mean, we probably won't know how he would have developed the rest of this season. But yeah, it looks to be a bad injury. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, speedy recovery, and I mean, hopefully we see him, go on to bigger and better things in his career.
Right. Well, hopefully you've all enjoyed listening to episode 17 and Jono going off, because I did. I was going to be the bad guy here, but I'm happy he did it, so I don't have to be. I'll save it for the next episode. Thank you all for listening. Hope you have a great night. Stay safe. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot of tweets if you listen to this one in full. But follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Have a great night.